So I was watching the news this morning, and they had a transgender man, who believes he's a woman on there. And so the news anchors and the ones doing the interview, they're just like, she's so brave. She's an activist. She's making a difference for children. She's paving the way. And this guy's on there, got the whole feminine look and everything, got a real bassy voice, real heavy voice. And one of the news anchors, he's like, yeah, this is so, it's so inspirational, so touching. And I'm like, anybody who has discernment, you know what I'm saying? Like when they say real recognize real, I'm like, yo, this dude don't even believe what he's saying. He just saying what they tell him to say, what they pay him to say. Because why? Somebody who owns the news station, this is the perspective that they want to push. And so then after that, they start talking about the whole Trump thing. And they're like, Trump, with his baseless claims, he wants to challenge the presidential-elect Biden. There's no proof of any kind of fraud. This is just a smooth. And I'm just sitting there listening to these guys, and it's like they're really trying to convince the people. Because most people, their perspective is shaped by media, big media, whether it's the news, whether it's Hollywood, the music industry, the opinions of the people. And I'm like, man, it's really not a joke when I say these guys are false prophets. Because just the reality is what they're saying is not true. And if you don't have any discernment, if you're not praying, if you're not in the Bible, you'll sit there and listen and you just yell like, yeah, they're the news. They're telling the truth. And the reality is there's somebody at the top who has an agenda. You don't know what spirit is, operating behind them, and they're trying to influence perspective. It's not about reporting anymore. It's about, let me put this perspective out there. If I keep saying she, if I keep saying baseless claims, if I keep saying that it's over, if I keep saying that it's a done deal, I'm shaping a perspective that people are going to have if they're not doing their own research, if they're not, the Bible says my people destroy for a lack of knowledge. If all of my knowledge comes from worldly places, if all of the opinions and values and things that I hold, comes from people who are in the world, who are not saved, who do not have the Spirit of God, I'm going to have a very carnal view. And so when I be looking at the news and media, I said, man, it's going to be easy for the Antichrist to deceive a lot of people. All he's going to have to do is have the media, under his thumb. That's it. Because people just believe whatever they see. It's like the media just says it really, really loud, right? Real loud and real often. And people are just like, yeah, that has to be truth. And so their minds they're being brainwashed, really. There's no way to put it. Now, like I said the other day when we was talking about, the Trump's actual electoral college score right now, it's not hopeless if they would report it honestly, because none of the states have been called. But they're calling it like, everything has been called. Now, if for some chance, Trump doesn't pull this thing out in the courts and stuff like that, I mean, God is in control. But the reality is, what they are saying is just simply not the truth. There is fraud. Like, I mean, and this is the thing that should be scared of you. Everybody has seen the fraud. Now, people discount it and people say, well, that wouldn't really make a difference. People say, well, both sides probably cheated a little bit and things like that. But the media, the ones that are supposed to report this stuff to the people, they just act like it's just impossible. For 4 years, oh, there was fraud. You stole the election from Clinton. But now, everything's just smooth. Everything is just, it was a perfect election. There was absolutely no fraud. The president's claims are baseless. He's just a horrible person. He's a big baby. I'm like, man, I'm sitting back looking at the news and I'm like, man, literally false prophets. Because no matter what side you stand on, the things that they're saying is simply not the truth. It's like I'm watching it and it's just lie after lie. She. I'm like, that's a he. Baseless claim. I'm like, they're not baseless. Something to think about. Let you guys be blessed. Keep praying. Keep pushing.